Hello everybody and welcome back. I hope you guys had another good week. So this week we worked a little bit more on perspective. I had you guys identify perspective in real life, 1, 2, and 3-point perspective. And then I had you do some sketches where I had you draw from the photos you took with an understanding of the perspective that's happening. So as far as grade-wise this week, it's 10 points for handing in your references, 10 points for file size and everything, and then 10 points for your JPEGs for both your studies and your sketches. And then that leaves your studies are worth 40 points and your sketches are worth 20 points. And really the studies were the big thing I wanted you guys to get this week because I want to make sure you guys are understanding the perspective before we move on to the next major assignment, which is going to be designing buildings. And then the sketches were really more of just more practice doing digital painting, and I want you thinking about perspective while you're doing drawings. So I really want to focus on the studies here. But overall, I think you guys did a good job. A few of you struggled a little bit here. I really want you to keep thinking back to everything we talked about in perspective. We're going to keep using it. So that's why I want to make sure you guys understand it. And if you're still struggling, really more practice is better. So remember, you can go back and watch previous videos. You can redo whole assignments, if you feel like, you need some more practice. So please keep that in mind. As always, your grade can be revised. So if you're struggling in any way, just know that there are ways to dig yourself back out of the hole. But you guys are doing a good job here. A few of you missing some work here, which is good. Okay, so let us get into this here. So I think we're going to go top down. I didn't get anything from you, Jonathan, Jimmy, Ian, Nathaniel. So Nathaniel, you did a great job here. Let us zoom in here. Your studies looked good. You did a good job capturing the structure, got a little bit of shading. This was the only one, buildings like this are tough with windows. I did say these didn't have to be totally finished, but some of your windows, it doesn't look like they're following the perspective. They're not following that building. It's got to be going up at that angle. So that could have been a little bit better, but otherwise these were nice. And then, let's see. I want to get this. There we go. I wanted to see how we could get this bigger. Okay. So, your perspective, 1-point perspective, this one looks good. I can see the receding lines you found. Then the interior, this looks great. Exterior, excellent. I think you didn't have any problems with your perspective here. Did a good job. Great using these ceiling tiles. Those are always nice, easy ways to find perspective. And then your 3-point perspective here looks excellent. And your 3-point perspective here also looks excellent. So great job. I have no comments for you on any of this. So it was really just that one drawing you lost a point for, but otherwise excellent work. Okay, moving on. Adam. You also did a really nice job here. Let's see. We have your drawings. Yeah, they're a little rushed. But, I'm seeing some good things in them here. I am happy to see, your perspective lines on this and how you used it. Yeah, this is a little bit rough. And, this is a little bit rough too, the drawing, obviously. But what I am looking for is that you're looking at the perspective. So I love that you used your perspective lines on here to create this. So your lines are a little wobbly. Probably better if you use a line tool, but there's actually kind of a nice stylization that I feel like is happening. As long as you follow the perspective, even if your drawings are pretty loose, you can see it still has like a feeling of realness to it. So I know this might have been a rough week for you, but I feel like you did a really great job with these. So nice work. I mean, these are sketches. I'm not looking for finished drawings, so that's fine. This one looks good. Technically, I want you to focus on a building, but honestly, it doesn't matter because you found all the vanishing points and everything for this, so that's great. This one looks really good. Nice 1-point interior. Here's your 2-point exterior. That also looks excellent. Here's your 2-point interior, also looks really good. And you found a lot of lines on here, which is great. Your 3-point exterior looks nice. And your 3-point interior looks nice. Yeah, I honestly, really great job. Looks like you're understanding the perspective, and that's really what I'm looking for here. So great work on all this. Yeah. Okay, Cam. So problem, I can't open any of your JPEGs. It means you're not saving these as JPEGs. When I click on them, see it says it's an unknown or invalid JPEG marker. That means it's not a JPEG. Even though, it says JPEG, that's not the type of file it is. You can't just rename the name. You actually have to do save as and save it as a JPEG. And I feel like we've had problems with this with you in the past here. So it's really important that you get this. So you're losing a lot of points off the bat because I can't open them. And it actually looks like you can save JPEGs because some of these you saved correctly. Just some of them you didn't. So any of the ones with these small previews, I can't open them and look at them. Luckily, you did hand in your Photoshop file, so I can see that. Let's look at your studies first before I open that up. Your studies look good. I can see, you're following your perspective on here. Yeah, some nice light shading. So I think you did a decent job with these. And then let's open up your Photoshop file. Luckily, you hand in the Photoshop file so it can give you credit for doing all the work. Otherwise, if you just hand in the JPEGs, I wouldn't have been able to tell. But this is great here. Nice use of the steps for your 1-point perspective. Your exterior, same thing. Good job using the steps and the roof up here. Your interior looks really good. Let me see. Yeah. Exterior also looks really good. When we go to your 3-point perspective, great. You didn't fall for some of the traps, which is this ceiling part here, which is at a different angle. So luckily you didn't fall for that. You just found your one vanishing point over here with your horizon line, which is great. And then your third one's down there. So excellent. That's a tricky one. It's a really tricky shot. And then your 3-point perspective outside. This is great. Yeah, so you did an excellent job. And you can see how distorted this one is because the vanishing points are so close together. And that's probably has to do with the lens you were using here. But otherwise, excellent job on all of these. So yeah, you're in a good spot. I just can't open your JPEG, so that's 10 points you're automatically losing. So if you just save out your JPEGs or more than 10 points because I can't open one of your other ones too. I think you lost 13 points because I can't open your JPEG. So it's easy points you can get back if you just resave them out and upload them. Okay, moving on. So Sydney, we have a couple little things here. So I do see that you did make an 11:17 document for these. They are 72 pixels per inch, and they're supposed to be 11:17, 300 pixels per inch, but also they're supposed to be 11:17 horizontal document at 300 pixels per inch. And I wasn't expecting you to fill a page. I do appreciate that you filled the page, but it's not what the assignment was. It was supposed to be, 11:17 document with it kind of small in the center. So you kind of lost some points just for not quite following the formatting and sizing that I asked for. So, that's your only problem here. And then you had some problems with your perspective. Otherwise, your studies look good. I can see your use of perspective. This one, though, actually, I can see you are using some perspective, but you got to be careful. This one here, let's make it a little bit smaller. This one here definitely doesn't feel right. Like this is not going to the same vanishing point as this cabinet here. This cabinet's pointing at somewhere in the sky. So, and the same thing with the chair's not pointing the same place. Actually, chair might be pointing the same place as the table, but this is definitely off. So this whole room feels really, it feels wrong. It doesn't feel right. This doesn't fit into that world there. So I think you could have done a little bit better than that. Other than that, they do look nice. I like your shading. But you really got to be careful you use that perspective, because otherwise what's the point? As far as your actual perspective studies, let's look at these here. So you had some trouble with these. Your 1 point exterior looks great. You did a great job finding the vanishing points here. Your 1 point interior also looks excellent. So nice job on that one. Ooh, it's getting a little complicated here, but technically, so this is your 2 point. This is your 2 point exterior, and technically your camera is facing downwards slightly here, and that's why your vertical lines here, your vertical lines are converging at a vanishing point down here, but that's because it's 3 point perspective. What I wanted was 2 point perspective, and actually, I mean, it's like you're so close to having this. Here, let's open this. So you did find this one vanishing point here, which is great, you know, following these lines. And then you followed these lines towards another vanishing point, but you never actually wrote it down on here. So here is VP1, and then down here, really, I know it's off the page, but you should have at least followed these kind of to the edge of the page here, and then done like an arrow that said VP2. I want you to understand that. That's where the second vanishing point is. That's on this horizon line. And then the third one that you have down here is, that's your third vanishing point. So technically this is the 3 point perspective. You didn't get full credit for this, even though I see you are understanding. You know, I see you are finding the vanishing points, which is great. But I want to make sure that you're understanding that this is vanishing point 1 and this is vanishing point 2, and that is the third one down here. And remember, if your camera is tilted at all, even it's a slight tilt downwards, it's going to be a 3 point perspective. So you have to be really careful when trying to do a 2 point perspective picture that you don't tilt that camera. You make sure you hold it level. So you lost some points there. And let's see. I'm trying to look at your lines here, trying to remember my notes. Yeah, I think you probably shouldn't have looked at the top of the curtains. I feel like that threw you off here. I think you're right. This one comes to around here. It's possible your table might not be totally perpendicular to the wall. I mean, if your table is just off a little bit, that can throw things off. So I see what you did here with your table and your chair, but really the ceiling should match up with them, but I'll give you credit for that. And the same thing with the other wall, yeah, your other vanishing point. So that's right. It's just a little confusing at first. And then your 3 point exterior. Okay, so let's open this one up. This one you had trouble with too. So this is your horizon line, right? What is the horizon line? The horizon line is where the ground meets the sky. This is not sky. This is more ground here. So there's no way your horizon line could be here. Let's see. So what I can see you're doing the right thing, some of the right things here. I see these lines going to this vanishing point and these lines there. So this is your third vanishing point. This is VP3. But, which is great. You did that great. That's the hard part. But then where is your horizon line and your first two vanishing points? And you have the right information here. You have these lines going this way. This is going this way. So that means your VP1 is off the page up there. And then you have all these lines going this way, which means your vanishing point 2 is all the way over here. That means if we were to zoom out, I mean, your horizon line's probably somewhere all the way up here. Wherever these converge, yeah, it's probably somewhere here. That is where your horizon line is with your two vanishing points. So you lost some points on this too, even though I see all your work here, which is great. I'm very happy you included all that work. You're seeing the right things. But once again, I just want to make sure you're understanding it. Just making sure those dots are actually connecting. So you lost a couple points for that too. And then this one, still some problems here. Once again, you're finding the right lines, which is great. The question is, where is your horizon line? And that you didn't mark here. And it's actually this one. You were correct that this is your horizon line. Here is VP1. And then we just need our third vanishing point. This is a 1 point perspective. We're looking at straight on, so there is no 2 point perspective. This you can actually ignore. This one you got from the ceiling that's angled. Remember, you only want to look at receding lines that are level to the ground. So you want to ignore these. That doesn't, technically, yes, that is a vanishing point where these two lines recede at, but it's not, on the horizon line. And it's because these lines are not parallel to or perpendicular to anything else in the room. So you got to really be careful to ignore any lines that are not level to the ground. And, level means, parallel to the ground. So we're going to ignore that one. But this is correct. This is your VP3. So this is where, all the doors and everything is receding to. So you're like nearly there once again, just making sure you're understanding all the information. Otherwise, I think you did a really good job this week. That's just where you lost the points. That'd be easy fixes. You could go back into this and just really markate essentially exactly what I just showed you, where the VPs are. So that's where you lost points for. But otherwise, I feel like you are understanding this. So nice work. Okay, moving on. Nicholas. Nicholas, you did great. Let's zoom in here. Your studies all look really good. Some nice shading, good understanding of perspective, so that's all great. And then let's look at 1 point exterior. It's really good. Interior, nice. Using the ceiling and the floor. This one's good. Your 2 point exterior, 2 point interior. I've got no complaints on this. Everything's right. It looks like you're understanding it. And your 3 point interior. So great work on all that. Honestly, you did a great job this week. Everything looks spot on. So excellent. Okay, moving on. Maltab, I didn't get yours. Christopher, Joseph, Cameron. Missing a bunch of you in the middle there. But Nick, I got yours. So let's see. Your studies are a bit rough. They are. But I am seeing an understanding of perspective on these. I'm seeing you follow lines. There's some things that are off. Like this here. This cabinet is definitely off. It's not following that. I think you had emailed me too this week. But, it's a little rough for sure. But you got the practice in, which is what I was hoping for, and I'm seeing you, getting the perspective here. So yeah, they're a little rough, but otherwise, I think you did a decent job for the week here. Moving on, so let's go to your sketches or your studies. This one looks great here. You just want to be careful. Careful following driveways, because if they're not perfectly straight, that can throw you off, but you use the building as well. So I think that's great. 1 point interior looks excellent. 2 point exterior, good. 2 point interior. This was a really great way for you just to use the tables. That's such a smart, simple way for you to find your horizon line and vanishing points. 3 point looks good. And 3 point interior. Yeah, that all looks good here. Yep, so nice job. Your studies are definitely a little rushed here, but otherwise I think you did a really good job this week. And the important thing is that you're understanding it all. So great. Okay, moving on. Geo, nothing from you. JJ, Juliana. Okay, you also did a nice job this week. Studies, let's look at these here. Yeah, they're a little bit rough here, but I'm seeing perspective in them. It got a little bit of shading, so that's good. Your studies, let's make this bigger. Studies look great. This one looks good here. The only thing I'd warn about is using this truck. You definitely use the building here, which is great, but you want to be careful of anything that's movable, because if that truck isn't parked perfectly, parallel to this building here, it's going to have different vanishing points. So you got to be careful with that. Maybe you lucked out on that one here. But that's the thing I want you to be, just careful of. This looks good. And it's actually pretty funny. It like lined up with that wall there. 2-point exterior looks good. 2-point interior. Once again, be careful with the cat tree. That may not be parallel to the wall. I mean, you got these great floorboards in here, but you did find the vanishing points for the cat tree here, so that's good. And your 3-point exterior looks great. 3-point interior. Excellent job. Yeah, I've got no complaints for all that. Just, studies are a little bit rough, but otherwise, nice work. Okay, moving on. Meg. Okay, Meg, it looks like you did a good job this week. Let's look at your studies here. Studies are, some of them are a little basic, but I'm very happy to see your perspective on here, to see you're using that, because the perspective is what really matters on here. You got some light shading. They're a little rushed, it seems like, but you got them done, so that's good. Your perspective all looks great. So 1-point interior is nice. So your 1-point exterior, this one you want to be careful of, because once again, those cars, you need to make sure that these lines are parallel to the ground. If those lines on the car are at an angle at all, it will throw things off. Same thing, if these cars aren't parked straight at that wall, it will throw things off. So you really have to avoid using movable things. What you did do is you use the paint on the ground and the the cracks in the sidewalk here. That is the correct way to do this. So really avoid any movable parts, but otherwise I think you got it right, because you also looked at, other objects that are not movable. Maybe the horizon line's a smidge higher if I'm trying to look where these lines connect, so be careful of that. But otherwise, I think you figured it out. 2 horizon lines due to human error. I mean, it's because your camera's crooked. That's all it is. Especially if you look at this line, you can see it's not perfectly straight up and down. It's at a little bit of an angle. So really, I think your vanishing points are in the correct spot. Just you got to connect them. Got to connect vanishing point 1 to vanishing point 2, and your horizon line is just a little crooked. But otherwise, your perspective's right. And then we got our 2-point exterior, looks great. 3-point interior is nice. And I think we're back at your Photoshop file. Wait, did we get a 3-point exterior? Oh yeah, here's 3-point exterior. And your 3-point exterior looks good. It's a very slight, incline, but you got that. So excellent job. Yeah, it's just your studies are a little rough, but otherwise you're understanding the perspective. So great. Okay, moving on. Christian, nothing from you. Evelyn. Okay, so Evelyn, let's see. You had some trouble this week with your perspective. So your studies, let's look at that. Your studies look good. Your studies have a nice nice shading, nice attention to detail. It looks like you got the perspective right on these for the most part. So those are good. But you definitely struggled on your finding perspective on these. So some of it's, I'm going to say this one is not your fault necessarily. This one is actually one of the hardest things to find the vanishing point on, because you're looking straight on here. Remember, what you're looking for to find the vanishing points in the horizon line is receding lines. So I don't know what these are. Where are the receding lines? These are just lines that you've just, essentially connected a dot from here to the corner of something. But that's not a receding line. A receding line is a line that is moving away from us. So none of these lines here that you made, none of these mean anything. These are all, gibberish for that sense. None of these are receding lines. The problem is, it's not all your fault, because this is a very hard picture to deal with, because we're looking straight on at an exterior. There really aren't many receding lines in this whole picture. So it's definitely harder. One that I found is this one here. See this underside of this overhang? That is a receding line. It's a line that's not parallel to our face. You know, it's not perfectly vertical. It's not perfectly horizontal. It is at an angle receding away from us. And if we follow that, you know, we follow that angle, that tells us where our horizon's going to be. Unfortunately, we need more than one line to find our horizon. And we really don't have any, unfortunately. I mean, there's nothing here. There's kind of stone paths, but nothing's perfectly straight. There's a little bit of a driveway here, but I wouldn't totally trust it. It could be here. I don't normally trust driveways because you never know if they're perfectly straight. It could be about here, which maybe you're lucky that you guessed it. The only other thing I think we could use to find this is this, whatever this is here. I don't know if this is your deck or something. I don't know if it's parallel to anything else here, but I would at least want to follow it. So we're going to follow this line. It's a small line. It's kind of hard to see. Ooh, that's actually following there. We're going to follow this line. See, this is a receding line. It's not parallel to us. It's moving away from us, and I'm just extending it. Ooh, it's going there. This, unfortunately, there's distortion here. It's hard to tell. There's definitely distortion. I don't know if you had, maybe it's not parallel. Maybe if I follow that one and I extend these further, it's so hard to tell. Honestly, I'm going to struggle finding the vanishing point in this because there's distortion happening. We don't have a lot of receding lines, but maybe it's here. Maybe, let's see. Let's change our color. Maybe this is the horizon line. I don't think so. That doesn't make sense. There's too much distortion happening at this end here. I don't know if you distorted your picture when you put it in here. It does look like it's been stretched. There's also camera distortion that's happening in the corner here, so I don't really trust things that are in the corner. So I'm going to say that I can't say with certainty exactly where the horizon is on this. There's just not enough information. So I can't blame you fully, but you need to, I want you to understand that, that the lines you made, you know, they're not based on any actual information. You need to make sure you're looking for receding lines. Okay, let's move on to some of the others here because you struggle with a lot of them too. And it's the same thing here. Okay, where are your receding lines? None of these lines are following anything. They're supposed to be extending a line. All you did was just connect from like the corner of some random thing to any spot. And I don't know why you chose this spot. I mean, couldn't you have just said it was here? I mean, I think you're not understanding it. So I appreciate that you're trying to do this, but I want you to know that this is obviously, this is not right. This is not where the vanishing point is. This is not where the horizon line is. Maybe you guessed it was here because it's where the ground meets the sky, but this is also, this isn't where the ground meets the sky. The sky, if the wall wasn't here, the ground would extend further past this. So you kind of got to picture this without, if there was no building here, where would the ground and sky be? But really what you're looking for is receding lines. And what's great about this building here is it's got this, this tile floor, and tile floors are the best thing. You see this line here? We're literally looking for lines. See this line on the floor? This is a line that's not parallel to our face. It is level to the ground, and it's moving away from us. So we can follow that. This line too, you see this? It's a line that's level to the ground. It is moving away from us. It is receding. Here's another receding line. Even these two, you followed these, but then you all of a sudden change direction. You want to extend it. You want to take this line and you're extending it. You're making it longer. So we're going to make it longer. And look at that. It's matching up with those. Same thing with this. We're going to extend it. And there we go. So that means that our horizon line is here and our vanishing point is here. You got to look at the information. You got to make sure you're looking for these things. This is also a receding line. This is a receding line. All the tiles on the wall, receding lines. See how they're all, if you start to notice them, They're literally all pointing to these one spots. Like, it's like an arrow. You're looking for those arrows. Okay, so if I feel like some of these you may have gotten. I don't think you got them all wrong here. But the same problem you had with your 2-point perspective, you almost had it. So you see this line here, at least you understood the one vanishing point was over there and one was over here. But this line here, this gutter, this is the line that's receding away from us. So you can just take this line and extend it over here. And then this gutter here, that's also parallel to that line, and it's receding away from us. We'll follow it there. Any of these lines on the side of the building, the paneling, we can take them, follow them, and they're here. And you can see this vanishing point is actually a lot farther away than you expected. It's off the page. And then this side here, we're just looking at we just look at the paneling on this. These lines are literally all pointing to here. And we can choose one here. We're just gonna follow this line where it's pointing, extend it all the way out. Let's choose another one up here. There we go. Oops. So that means our vanishing points are really far away. I think you stretched this picture out again. You got to be careful when you paste your pictures in. I don't want it to fit perfectly in that box. So it's okay if there's room. You really don't want to stretch them out at all because I think that's making your vanishing points even farther apart. So that means your horizon line is probably about here. I think you were about right with your horizon line. Well, maybe a little bit higher. No. Actually, it might have been about here. So it's a little bit lower than what you had. You were close, but I think you were close just from guessing. And then vanishing point 1's over here, vanishing point 2's on the other side. Okay, let's go back. This one you actually got right. You did this one perfectly. You followed those receding lines. I'm so happy that there's like a glimmer of hope here because you could see it on this one. When you had, I don't know, maybe it's something about being at the corner of the wall, or maybe after doing it a few times, you were starting to get it. So this one is totally right. You found the 2 vanishing points and the horizon line. So great. Although once again, your picture is stretched. Moving on. And then 3-point perspective. So you actually did get the 3rd vanishing point correctly. You did follow this one up here. You followed these lines, which is excellent. However, you didn't quite follow the lines for your 1 and 2-point perspective. And remember, we're looking upwards. So where's the ground? The ground is down below. That means the horizon line is going to be below here somewhere. So you did follow this line correctly. Oop. Which is great. But none of these other lines are you following it. We can follow the line on the door here. Your picture's so distorted. Actually, you're right. I shouldn't have said that before I got into this here. The horizon line's not down there. It's just because there's so much distortion here. But anyway, so you actually were partially right here, even though the horizon line's a little bit lower than what you had. And then here, this one's actually going to help us. So we want to follow these lines on the side here. There we go. Remember, you got to follow the receding lines. Okay, so that means the horizon line's actually like, how straight is it? I'm trying to tell. It's probably like here. And I probably should do that in a different color. But here, about here's the horizon line. You got VP1 here. VP2 is off the page. We can't see it. Once again, because you distorted and stretched your picture, that's making your vanishing points farther away. You got to be so careful about doing that. But your 3rd vanishing point is correct, which is great. And then we got your 3-point. Same as your last one. Your 3 vanishing points are correct. Your 3rd vanishing point up here, this is correct. These are going to the right spots. But you have some things right for your your vanishing point. So you followed this line, which is great. But you don't really have any other lines to follow on here. Oh. We're looking at the inside of a corner. Ahaha. Ooh, you got me for a second there. Okay. You're supposed to follow it this way. There we go. So we follow this line this way, which you did correctly on the 2-point perspective. And then the light switch here, this line's parallel to this ceiling here. So you followed those lines the wrong direction. So that means your VP1 is about here. And if we follow these to this way, and remember it's because we're at that inside corner, that means your VP2 is about here. Oops. And then your horizon line is about there. Oh, let's make this straight. Horizon line's about here. So you can see how yours is definitely off on this one. You have your horizon line way too high up in the sky there. Once again, your pictures are distorted, so I think that's making it more difficult for you. But that's where you lost a lot of your points this week, just for not really understanding this. I really recommend you should try it again, because it's really important that you get this stuff, because we're going to be doing perspective of buildings next. So we really want to make sure you're getting this here. Really be careful with pasting those pictures. You don't want to make it harder for yourself. So you had some trouble here. Please give it another try. I think I want to make sure you get this, okay? Okay, moving on. And last up, we have Derek. So your sketches, yeah, a little rough. Your studies here, sketches. I get confused which one's studies and which one's sketches. Your sketches are a little rough. Really, I wish you used some straight line tools on here. I do like sketchiness, but when it comes to perspective, you want to make sure you at least have some straight lines. It does look like everything's pointing to the vanishing points for the most part. I mean, this one isn't. You have a vanishing point here, but this one doesn't, these lines don't quite look like this one is definitely not pointing to that. So you got to make sure you actually use those vanishing points. So I think it's a combination of, it's sketchy, which is not a terrible thing, but it's sketchy, but then off, then it doesn't work as well. So if your perspective is a little bit off because you're trying to go loose, it's not going to work. So you can be sketchy, but you still have to be accurate when it comes to perspective. So you lost some points on that. And then for your perspective, so yeah, this is one of the tough ones here because we're looking straight on a building, but you found this line here and this line there. That's great. Your 1-point interior is good. 2-point exterior looks really good. 2-point interior is great. This is where you got tripped up. Where is that third vanishing point here? So you have these lines, but remember we're looking for lines that are converging. These lines are not converging. They are moving farther away, right? They're close together here, and as we get farther away, they're moving farther apart. So they are the opposite of converging, which I actually don't know what the word for that is at this moment. I'm pulling a blank. Oh well. You followed the lines the wrong way. If we follow these lines this way, if we go up, now they're converging. Now these two are going to meet at a point, and then we follow this one here too. So you had it backwards, and that's where people get tripped up, is your third vanishing point. If you're looking up, that third vanishing point is towards where you're looking. And if you're looking down, that third vanishing point's towards where you're looking. So the vanishing point will be down in the ground when you're looking down, and it'll be up in the sky when you're looking up. But you got to remember, follow those lines all the way through if you're confused, because this is what you're looking for, where they get closer together. So you're so close. Everything else was correct on here. And then I think you had the same... Yeah, so you had the same problem here, but, so you got your, okay, so there's actually a few things more wrong here. We're looking at an inside corner, and we're looking down. The vanishing point, or the horizon line, can't be on the ground, right? It can't be at the ground. We know it has to be above us somewhere because it's where the ground meets the sky. You got tripped up because we're looking at an inside corner, and you your lines the wrong way again. So we want to follow this line in and this line in where they converge. And then we're going to follow, we can even just follow the lines on the ground here. They're like slightly converging. It's so slight, but it is happening here. That means that horizon line is pretty far away. And actually, I think my line's a little bit off on this one. I think, let's see. Let's follow this. Yeah, that's much farther away. Let's follow these here. Oops. That's there. Yeah, the horizon line is definitely going to be off the page somewhere. And we follow this up here. So yeah, your VP1's up here. Oops. Hold on. VP1, VP2. And actually what you want to be careful of is I would avoid this ladder. This ladder looks like it's at an angle. You know, is this ladder parallel to the wall? You know, is it parallel to the wall or is that at a slight angle? If that's at a slight angle, it's an inclined plane. So we want to ignore that. To find the third vanishing point, we want to look for lines that are perfectly straight up and down. And so we're going to follow, there's this line here. And remember, we're looking down, so that vanishing point's going to be down. And then we have this little line here we can follow. And then this little line. I'm a little bit off, but let's just say it's roughly here. So here's your third vanishing point. Remember, you're looking down, that vanishing point's going to be down. You're looking up, the vanishing point's going to be up. But you also just got to follow those lines. Follow the lines all the way through until where they converge. Okay, so that's where you lost points this week. I think overall you were understanding a lot of things. It's the 3-point perspective that got you, that tripped you up, which we didn't go into 3-point perspective in, you know, total depth here. I didn't have you guys do any work for it, but I want to make sure you guys understand it. Otherwise, did a good job here. Okay. And that's it, you guys. Nice work, everyone. Remember, you can resubmit. I just want to make sure you guys understand this before we move on. We're doing more perspective next week. So we have one more minor assignment. And then our last major assignment, or our second major assignment is after that, where you're going to be designing a building. Okay, guys. Good job.